Steve in Brooklyn.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I know Matt's probably off on vacation because he probably needed time off. I didn't catch your name, so I could address you properly. Well, what's your...
I'm Russell.
And I'm Tracie.
Tracie, I know you because you were there last time with Matt. It's nice to meet you guys. I think you guys run a wonderful show, and you guys are cool guys. And atheists, I think, are pretty cool.
Okay.
Thanks. Well, are you not one?
No, I'm still in the transformation period.
Okay.
From what to what?
From basically right now, I'm like right now I'm still a Catholic, going in agnostic, and then hopefully into atheist.
Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't hear a lot of people talk about atheism that way.
No, I remember talking to you, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's more or less one of the way I could describe myself. But the question I wanted to ask was, is basically, there's people who say when they have a near-death experience, they experience a white light, and they say that white light, they've written a lot of books about it, that people, you know, that's a sign, like maybe there's a possible afterlife. I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Okay. Have you ever broken a bone, Steve?
No.
You have never broken a bone. I one time got hit by a car, broke my femur. It was not a very pleasant experience. There was a lot of pain. And I imagine that everybody, when they break their femur, has some pain. Do you think that probably makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. And I think that when a brain might be shutting down and have a lack of oxygen, that it might make sense that a lot of people have a similar experience with that. Don't you think that could be possible?
Well, you know, basically, I'm not a scientist, but...
Right. But you know that vision is tied to, like, areas of the brain, correct?
Right.
Right? Your vision is processed by your brain. And so let's say that you had some kind of a brain injury or problem with your brain and oxygen wasn't getting to it. Like, have you ever fainted?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how, did you see well before you fainted? What happened to your vision?
Well, when your vision comes back, it's blurry.
Excuse me?
It's blurry.
Okay, but I mean, before you finally went unconscious, didn't you kind of lose your capacity to see? Did things go a little bit gray and not quite visual? Did you lose visual?
Well, things actually come out dark.
Okay, when you go unconscious. But what I'm saying is, on the way to unconscious, I donate blood sometimes, and I'm not a huge person. And so there have been a few times where I've almost fainted after giving blood. And when that happens to me, one of the first things I lose is my vision. I end up getting like light gray and white, like it just, everything whites out. And this happens because blood is not doing what it should do. So I'm simply suggesting that perhaps the way an experience of, for example, getting lightheaded when you donate blood would be similar for human beings because the brain and the body react in the same way. Doesn't it make sense that you might have some visual interference that occurs when a brain is deprived of oxygen that might be similar between people because they all have the human brain?
No. What a lot of these people who had these near-death experiences, who experienced this white light, and they were maybe supposedly like dead for an hour, and they wrote a lot of books on these things. They're saying that could be a possibility of a one claim that there could be an afterlife.
Yeah. I just pulled up something on the Skeptic's dictionary right here that might actually be helpful in this discussion. That's skepdic.com. And it says, skeptics believe that near-death experiences can be explained by neurochemistry and are the result of the brain states that occur due to a dying, demented, extremely stressed, or drugged brain. According to Susan Blackmore, vision researcher Dr. Tomas S. Troskianko of the University of Bristol speculated if you start with a little neural noise and it gradually increased, the effect would be like a light at the center getting larger and larger and hence closer and closer. The tunnel would appear to move as the noise levels increased and the central light got larger and larger. If the whole cortex became so noisy that all the cells were firing fast, the whole area would appear light. So that seems to be one of the explanations for why this sort of tunnel effect occurs.
And the other thing to remember is that your body will do things to you to help you deal with bad situations. So for example, when my femur was broken, it hurt initially, but then I went into shock. And after that occurred, I didn't feel anything anymore. I was just upset, but I have no memory anymore of any pain with that. So I think as well, you might have situations where your body undergoes stresses and traumas, and they talk about things like runner's high, where your brain releases things like, you've got chemicals in there like dopamine, and I know there's other chemicals too that deal with stress or come out when you're in pain or stress that sort of help you handle that, sort of counteract it. So you can have these, euphoric feelings even in a situation where you're having a really bad time or your body's shutting down in some way.
So in other words, when people who do experience that, that's not one fact that's like showing that there's a sign of a possible afterlife or a possible heaven.
No, I mean, it's a sign of a common experience, and when you have a common experience, that doesn't necessarily point to a specific explanation. And when people who believe in the afterlife take this common experience, they want to attribute it to, I mean, they come up with sort of just so stories, kind of explanations about why things look at a certain way, and they sort of shoehorn it into the religion of their choice.
So in other words, believers who mention these kind of things that happen to people, it's just one excuse that they're giving for people to believe in still.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's no way to demonstrate that there would be some sort of otherworldly cause to this. I mean, I don't know how a person would demonstrate that it wasn't just some sort of, dream or brain-induced hallucination. Like, I don't know how you would be able to investigate that without coming back with maybe potentially some information that would be useful to demonstrating that you actually did have some sort of afterlife experience.
So in other words, that doesn't give you, the people who have those kind of experiences, that's one thing that we could dismiss as not one of the proofs that there's an afterlife.
It doesn't convince me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that we're like trying to go out of our way to dismiss it or anything. It's just that the burden of proof is on the person making a positive claim, and people who claim to have come up with an explanation for the various things that happen when they're near death, and say, oh yeah, there's all this stuff like another universe where your consciousness goes to forever, even though the chemical processes in your brain that appear to be generating it have shut down. Oh. They have to come up with something better, like Tracie said, than just, I really want this to be true.
Well, I have a really good example here, Steve. Like, you go to bed at night. Do you ever dream?
Yes.
What if somebody suggested to you that when you're dreaming, you're actually going to other dimensions, and those places that you go in your dreams at night, you're actually there? Like you're traveling, spiritually to some other realm, and that's what that is. I mean, if somebody were to suggest that, I would think the first question would be, why? Like, why are you suggesting this? Why do you think that this is what's occurring, as opposed to just my brain, making images and telling stories at night and just sort of processing information? I mean, the idea that you're used to the concept of a dream as simply, this is what my brain does at night when I go to sleep, would make you a little bit more skeptical of the idea of somebody telling you that, no, you were really there. You were that person that you dreamed you were talking to, or when you dreamed you were flying, you were really flying. You probably would just be like, no, that's just what your brain does. And what I'm suggesting is that when a person is dying, their brain may do certain things, that this is what a brain does. We just probably have a smaller sample set because most people aren't running around dying. Well, I take that back. Most people are dying, but
not running around.
Yeah, I mean, but the experience of like almost dying and then being revived is probably rare, considering the number of people who don't have that experience.
So basically, that's a great answer, because that kind of lets me know to dismiss that, because that was kind of making me still believe that there's something.
Ultimately, it's your call. I mean, if you find something compelling or you don't find something compelling, that's that's kind of up to you.
No, but your answer made it very clear for me.
Okay, good.
Basically, that's basically just one of the religious rights excuses that they help keep believers still believers.
Well, I mean, not exclusively the religious right. It's all religious people.
Yeah.
Explaining away death because it's an uncomfortable topic seems to be one of the main reasons religion exists, in my opinion.
Right. Now, there's something that atheists refer to them sometimes as. They refer to them sometimes as Atheists. And
That's what?
Sometimes atheists refer to themselves sometimes as Atheists. And I want to get your answer. Do you know what an Atheist is?
I never heard of that.
No, I've heard of an Atheist, which is somebody who just basically says that the question of does a God exist is so ill-defined that it can't be answered because it doesn't
and I
make
was
sense.
trying to find out what does the I stand for in the Atheist.
It's a new product from Apple.
Yeah,
and basically
it's a theist with a USB port.
and basically but the I think what they're trying to refer to as an individual theist.
I know a lot of atheists, and I don't know anybody who has ever used that word. So when you say some people, I can't really address your experience.
I haven't seen that one yet, so that's a new one for us, Steve.
Well, no. The thing is, I saw this on the internet on Google.
I believe
Well,
you. There's lots of
see a
things
lot
on
of
the
it,
internet.
yeah.
I haven't seen them all, but I'm sure there's Rule 34.
Well, no.
So
Are you saying that people want to get naked with these atheists? I don't know.
I'm just saying that probably someone.
They were trying to refer to it. There was a description of they are basically like atheists who basically worship themselves, or more or less just care about more or less themselves.
Was this actually used by an atheist, or was this used sarcastically by a preacher trying to characterize atheists?
Well, no. I spoke to one atheist who referred to himself as an atheist.
Okay.
And basically, it's like they're taking atheism and basically they're going a little bit further. They said, and I don't know if this is true or not. And they're saying they're instead of not believing in the God, basically they believe in themselves and as individual.
I mean,
I
I can't
believe in
tell if they mean that, but
I don't know if that qualifies.
yeah,
me.
but
I
if
have
they're if they're attributing powers to themselves, I think that's not taking atheism further.
I have powers.
All right.
No, because doesn't that, in a way, kind of, if somebody claims something like that, doesn't that kind of like sound like as if they think they're their own God or something? I think.
I suppose, but you'd need to ask the person if that's what they really think.
I can't. We really can't comment, and I don't think this is out
Okay.
of the depth of it.
I think we're going to move on to another caller, Steve.
So, I just wanted to quickly ask you one last thing, if I could.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, because this is the only thing left that helps me on my journey. The Catholic Church says that the Bible is basically the physical proof. The Word of God is the physical proof for belief. And I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, and the Odyssey is the physical proof of Greek gods. I mean, of course they say that. It's not physical proof. It's just people writing stuff down.
Because basically I could say to a priest, well, I could write a book, and in 100 years, I could have other people believe in it too. And would you believe in it?
I mean, look at all those people with the near-death experiences, Steve. What
Look
if they
at the
all
Book
wrote
of
it down?
Mormon.
It doesn't change just because you write it down instead of speak it.
Right.
It's still just a story.
So basically, the Bible that they're saying is the physical proof. That basically is just their excuse, more or less, to keep people into believing.
I don't know.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, sure. Nice talking to you, Steve.
Yeah.
See ya.